to discover. There is the, it's like having Mars next to Uranus, which you could have accidents with Mars next to Uranus. I mean, sometimes with Mars and Aquarius, like, because it's so electric and because it's so, there's a lot of this kind of energy in Mars next to Uranus or Mars and Aquarius. You can sort of have sudden things happen to you, unexpected things happen to you. It's unpredictable. Mars and Aquarius is very unpredictable, but there's really the desire to fight for the new, to fight for the new vision, the desire is the desire is to move forward passionately and unconventionally. Where's here's Mars in the 7th house, right? Yeah, so all of that for you is in the realm of relationship, and I meet you. And obviously also, let me say this, for women, you know, the Venus energy is even going to say more, well, you could say it both ways. You could say, we both have masculine and feminine. So the Venus energy relates to the feminine, the Mars energy relates to the masculine. So when you look at yourself and you say, okay, what's the feminine part of me? What's the masculine part of me? You know, that's revealed in the Venus and Mars. So the Mars, the kind of conquering part of you, the more aggressive part of you is also the unconventional and also the tendency to think about freedom, think about the unusual. And you have it all, you have it in a stellium, right, next to, yeah, and you have it sitting next to Saturn, right?
Mm-hmm. And next to Venus.
Yeah, okay. So sitting next to Saturn is hard when you have Mars and Aquarius because it wants to do the unconventional, but it also wants to do the right thing.
Ooh.
Do you feel that? Mars and Aquarius wants to be like, crazy guy, doing the thing, and then Saturn's like, what are you doing? Stop that. Get in line. And your Mars and Aquarius, Maria, is in the 8th house. Yeah. So it's interesting for you because, you know, the 8th house is again that house of sex and death and transformation, and so you know, you have the desire for the new and the desire for, it's also the metaphysical house. You know, it's also the house that rules has a lot to do with metaphysics. And so the drive for the unconventional, the drive to know things at their depths. Yeah, it's such an unusual, we're going to be talking about that combination for a long time. Mars and Virgo. Mars and Virgo. Mars and Virgo is passionate attention to detail, you know, and the drive for perfection. If you want somebody to be the hardest worker in the world, you know, that's a Mars and Virgo person, because they will like do the nitty-gritty over and over and over again. They will just work to the bone, okay?
Is that the positive spin or
well, I think it could be both, right? It could be both, because they will, even their soul's calling, they will attend to, and they will be precise, okay? And they will just be, you know, I mean, like one of my dear friends has Mars in Virgo, and she, you know, for 20, she's an actress, but also for 20 years she's been a waitress, and it's just like, you know, that it's just, she's willing to do it because of her heart's calling, and she's willing to do the Mars in Virgo day after day, daily activity, same thing, you know, do it well, do it efficiently, do it properly, all of that. Mars in Virgo is, again, like having Mars next to Mercury, but it's the more analytical side of it, because Mercury's analytical side. Okay, and finally, my friends, Mars in Pisces. And we have a Mars in Pisces, yes, in the 1st house, right?
Yeah, weird.
So it's very interesting for you because Madly's in Aries, so Mars is her ruling planet, and it's also in the 1st house, which is the Aries house, but it's in Pisces. So it's like, it's exactly the image that I gave you, which is, let's do it! Okay, but it can also be, I will fight for you. It's so compassionate. It's so compassionate. And it's so much like, fight for the underdog. Fight for the one that needs help. You know, I will take my powers and, you know, powers of assistance, and I will help you. And yeah, it's also, for you, it's, what is it? What is it in aspect to?
Sextile Jupiter,
Yeah.
opposite Pluto, square and see, I forgot
Yeah,
that.
okay. So sextile Jupiter is gonna help her as well, because it's gonna give her a little bit of extra oomph, and it's gonna give her a little bit of extra
Okay,
yes.
trine Neptune.
Okay,
That's good.
yeah, very idealistic, very idealistic. So, you know, and what's your Sabian symbol, just for kicks?
Illumined by a shaft of light. Sorry.
Well,
A large cross lies on rocks surrounded by sea mist.
Wow.
whoa.
That's pretty potent.
Is it? I don't know what anybody else's is.
Some of them are like, a pheasant displays its crown, or some of them are very funny, like, a little child plays with a ball on the floor, or something like that. That's pretty potent. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, when you have something in the first house like that, also, it's so important. The planet in a first house is so important because it really defines, it really says something about who you are as you enter your life, you know? So that, the Mars in Pisces is, I think it has a lot to do with compassion. I think it has a lot to, you know, the danger is diffusion. The danger is, you know, the danger is that
Fluctuating, unpredictable energies.
yeah,
I like
there you
that
go.
one.
Yeah,
I call it
but
fizzling
the strength
urges.
is the
What?
spiritual
Fizzling
warrior, the
urges.
samurai, the spiritual warrior, the samurai, yeah.
And the first house is,
The first house is the house of the self, the house of presenting yourself to the world. It's how you look even, you know, it can have to do with physiognomy, yeah. Okay, yeah, so, yeah, questions?
What I was wondering is, on these sheets, you wrote opposite, and then you wrote the planets, Neptune,
Yes,
Venus. I was
yes,
wondering if you could just explain just the planets.
yeah,
What they stand for.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
And-
so,
To better understand the
Yes.
aspects.
Yes.
No,
okay, so, and I would just say to you, okay, and we'll definitely work more with this next week too, for those of you who can be here, but if it's opposite, if it's square, if it's in conjunct, those are more difficult aspects, all right? So wherever your Mars is, it wants to have a voice. It wants to get out to the world, right? If it's, particularly I would say if it's square or in conjunct, there's creative friction going on and you're having to work a little bit extra hard. Or you're having to figure out a way, with an in conjunct, you're having to figure out a way to talk a whole new language to the planet that it's in conjunct with so that they can work together. Okay?
what's
Yes.
semi-square?
So, oh yeah, you have a semi-square is also a tricky one. It's half a square, so it's also not an easy
Challenge.
Yeah, it's like a square, but it's half a square. The opposition is not always negative. What it is it's like you're having to look at that, and with an opposition, there's sort of a seesaw energy that goes on. So it's like if you have Mars opposite Venus, then Mars might take over, and then Venus takes over, and then Mars takes over. And what you want to do with an opposition is you want to meet in the middle so that they're happily walking together. Do you know? So these are more difficult aspects. The sextile, which is 60 degrees, you know, this is 180, this is 90, this is 135. I'm sorry, this is 150. 150, and this is 45. And then the sextile is 60 degrees, the trine is 120. And the conjunction is neither positive nor negative. It just depends on what planets are sitting next to each other. You know, like we described, Saturn sitting next to Mars could be you could feel thwarted at every turn, or you could feel absolutely enduring and persistent.
Or both.
Or both. Exactly. And most of us, it is both. Most of us, it's a spiral. Most of us were like, oh, today I'm thwarted and miserable, and then, yeah.
It's actually a question of which direction I'm looking. Looking ahead, I feel thwarted, but looking back, I see that I'm completely consistent. But only in a certain aspect.
That's such a fabulous thing to say, because it gives us, if we look back and say, wait a second, you know, it's the same thing. Like if I look forward and think, oh, I'm going to screw this up, I have a thing about perfection, you know, and like, oh, this is surely going to be the one that I fail at. But then you look back and you're like, wait, no, here we've slowly proven ourselves, right? Yeah, I like that.
I want to clarify that
Yeah.
I'm persistent in the stuff. I'm only persistent though, looking at the stuff that Saturn didn't want to do originally. So not doing as everybody else does, not doing the right thing. But it turns out not doing the right thing is exactly the right thing.
Right, says the
Aquarius.
It says the guy with the stellium in Aquarius, exactly. Yeah. that should be your mantra. Not doing the right thing is exactly the right thing, or whatever it is. Yeah, exactly. So that's a perfect example of where, you know, Saturn sitting next to Mars, you just don't know how it's going to manifest. You know, yeah, so it could be positive or negative. So having said that, I mean, this is like, so I can paint a big picture for you, so you can know, well, boy, my Mars really is afflicted here, or my Mars has some issues here. You know, you can know, okay, either, yeah, and my heroic quest is either going to be struggle or woo, off we go. You know, if you have Mars trine Jupiter, this is fabulous. This is like, this is Jupiter saying, yes, 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 go for it. You know, so if I'm I'll just be absolutely bare bones about it, and I'll say, the moon is the emotional life, it's the feeling life, it's the instinctual life, it's the habitual life, it's where you're comfortable. I'll say that most important. And it's, so again, what we were talking about earlier is if Mars is in a difficult relationship with the moon, there's going to be some emotional stress and reactivity, and it's going to be some, it's going to be very much like that Mars in Cancer, right? Where you have to figure out how to get your emotional life in sync with your assertive life, okay? How else to talk about that? You know, if it's opposite Mars, you know, the moon might be like, but I'm so comfortable, but this is what I want to be doing, and Mars is like, but we got to be doing this, you know? I mean, if, or let's say the moon is in Taurus. Ah, comfort, you know, oh, let's just stay, you know, let's just make it easy, let's be comfortable, let's have things, let's not move a whole lot, right? But then if you had an opposite Mars and Scorpio is like, let's get in there, let's dive in, let's address these issues. And so if you have this opposition of, oh, but it's so lovely to be in this space that's uncomplicated. Mars and Scorpio is like, but we gotta dive in. You feel the seesaw of that and the emotional stuff that could come up around it. Or let's say you had Mars in Cancer, square the moon in Aries, okay? So the moon in Aries is like, loves to be impulsive, loves to jump in, hey, let's go to Seattle tomorrow, you know? And then but it's square moon and, Mars in Cancer, which is like, is it safe? Do I dare? You know, I can't journey that far, you know? So you can feel the challenge in that. Okay, so the moon is emotional life. The sun is the self. So, you know, the sun is the core self of personality. So if Mars is in harmony with the sun, you've got some extra vitality. If it's square the sun, you could have irritation. You could have irritation, you could have frustration. Sun, moon, Mercury, planet of communication, planet of words, planet of bridging. Is it in harmony with that, or is there a kind of, is the thought process at war with the emotional process? That's what would happen there, is like how we think versus how we feel. Venus, values, what we love, feminine. So if Mars and Venus together would be very passionate if they're working well together. They'd be very passionate, very juicy, very nice balance. If they're not,